Hello, today I want to talk about number bases. We often may have come across addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of number bases, and we may have learned some formulas. Some of them may have stuck, some of them may not have stuck. However, in this video, I'm going to clarify it as simply as possible. Before you talk about adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing in number bases, you first need to understand how number bases work. Once you understand how number bases work, you would easily calculate in number bases. You would easily switch from one number base to another without needing to convert between number bases. And it will be easy for you to add, subtract, multiply, or even divide within a number base. So, as far as how number base works are concerned, you need to know two things. First of all, you need to know where it resets. And secondly, you need to know how many digits are involved in that number base. Now here, I have shown 10 different number bases from base 1 down to base 10. Now base 1 is also called unary. We'll come to that later. Base 2 is binary. There are only 2 digits in base 2, 0 and 1. No more than 2 digits. Base 3, there are only 3 digits, 0, 1 and 2. Base 9, there are only 9 digits from 0 to 8. And base 10, there are only 10 digits from 0 to 9. Now base 10, this is what we use in everyday life. Okay? So I'm going to use base 10 to illustrate how number bases work. Where it resets. There are only 10 digits in base 10 from 0 to 9. This means that once you've counted from 0 to 9, once you reach 9, if you want to add one more digit, you're going to reset. By resetting, I mean you're going to go back to 0. Let's say, for example, you count 1 to 9. What's the next number after 9? Remember, base 10. You have to reset. You reset, you go back to 0. And when you go back to 0, you're going to put 1 before the 0. Okay? Then from 1, 0, you keep going 1, 1, 1, 2 until 1, 9. And when you reach 1, 9, this 9 has to reset again. When this 9 resets again, you add 1 more here to become 2. Now, you can keep counting until you reach 9, 9. When you reach 9, 9, what happens? For the next number, this 9 resets back to 0. You have to add 1 here. But since this is 9, this 9 has to reset back to 0 again. And you're going to put 1 here. So that's how it works. When you have 9, 9, 9, this 9 resets to 0. You have to put 1 here, but this is already 9. So it resets to 0. You have to put 1 here, but this is already 9. It resets to 0, and you have to put 1 here. So that's how number bases work. And as we all know, this is 100 comes after 99, and 1000 comes after 999. So that's basically how it works. 10 comes after 9 as well. So that's how resetting of number bases work. So to briefly illustrate, let's assume we're using base 3, for example. In base 3, we have only 3 digits, 0, 1, and 2. So 0 in base 3 is 0, 1 in base 3 is 1, 2 in base 3 is 2, 3 in base 3 is what? This is already 2, so you're going to have to reset back to 0. And you put 1 here. 3 in base 3 is 1, 0, 4 in base 3 is 1, 1. Okay? This becomes 1 because 1 is allowed in base 3. 5 in base 3 is 1, 2 because 2 is allowed in base 3. Now 6 in base 3, 2 is the highest number allowed in base 3. After 2, you have to reset back to 0. So you have to make this 0 and add 1 here to make it 2. Alright? 7 in base 3 is 2, 1. 8 in base 3 is 2, 2. 9 in base 3. Now this is 2, it resets back to 0. You have to put 1 here, but this is already 2, so it resets back to 0, and you put 1 behind this. So 9 in base 3 is 1, 0, 0. Now you may have noticed something. 3 is 1, 0, 6 is 2, 0, 9 is 1, 0, 0. Yes, 9 can't be 3, 0 because 3 is not allowed, so 9 has to be 1, 0, 0. So basically, multiples of the bases are always 1, 0, 2, 0, and so on and so forth. Alright, so here's an introduction to number bases.